Imagine this. You wake up in the Caribbean, sunlight pouring through your window. You make a coffee, walk down to the beach, and by the afternoon, you're running your business on your laptop with the ocean in the background. That's already the dream, right? But here's the cherry on top. At the end of the year, instead of handing over a mountain of money to the taxman, you keep most of it in your own pocket. Let's put numbers on it. Let's say your business makes $500,000 in profit. In the mainland US or other high-tax countries such as Canada or the UK, you could easily be paying $150,000 or more in federal and state taxes. But if you lived in Puerto Rico under their special program, that same $500,000 business might only owe around $20,000. That's a difference of around $130,000. Money that stays with you. Same work, same income, same laptop, just a different location. Now, here's my story. About 6 years ago, I actually made the move. I packed up my life, took my tax service business, and relocated to Puerto Rico. I wanted to see what all the hype was about. Was this just a tax loophole, or was it a real lifestyle choice? I ended up living there for almost 18 months, and honestly, I loved it. What surprised me the most wasn't just the tax savings. It was how livable Puerto Rico actually is. A lot of people think it's some remote island where you're cut off from the world, but that's not the case at all. The lifestyle is vibrant, modern, and comfortable. Picture Miami, but without the constant hustle and grind. San Juan has co-working spaces with solid internet, restaurants that rival any big US city, and a community of entrepreneurs, creatives, and digital nomads who are all there for the same reasons: freedom, lifestyle, and building smarter businesses. And then there's the culture. Puerto Rico isn't just a financial decision, it's a full experience. The beaches are some of the best in the world. The food is incredible. The music and nightlife have this unique energy that you don't find anywhere else. It's not a place you just tolerate so you can save money on taxes. It's a place you actually want to live. For me, it felt safe. It felt welcoming. And it felt like home much faster than I expected. In fact, it felt a lot like the United States in many ways, just with better weather year-round. All right, let's talk about the part everyone's curious about: the tax incentives. Because this is where Puerto Rico becomes truly unique. Puerto Rico has something called Act 60. Think of it as their way of rolling out the red carpet for entrepreneurs, investors, and business owners. And unlike the mainland US, which taxes you heavily on almost everything, Puerto Rico flips the script. Here's how it works. If you run what's called an export services business, meaning you're offering services remotely to clients outside Puerto Rico, you can qualify to pay just a flat 4% corporate tax on your profits. Yep, 4%. To put that in perspective, many entrepreneurs in the mainland US are used to paying around 30% or more when you add up federal and state taxes. It's a huge difference. To show you, let's do the math. Imagine your business makes $1 million per year in profit. On the mainland and in other high-tax countries, you could easily be giving up $300,000 to $350,000 in taxes. In Puerto Rico, under Act 60, you'd owe about $40,000. That's over $250,000 saved every single year. That's not a minor difference. That's life-changing. That's buying your dream home, reinvesting in your business, or retiring early. And it doesn't stop with businesses. If you're an investor, Puerto Rico offers another massive advantage: 0% tax on capital gains, dividends, and interest that you earn after you move there. Zero. Think about that. Say you invested $100,000 in stocks, and a few years later that turns into $300,000. Normally, the taxman is going to want their cut. Maybe 15, 20, even 25% depending on your situation. In Puerto Rico, if you're a resident, that entire $200,000 gain stays in your pocket, untouched. And that's almost unheard of anywhere else for people who, like me, are US citizens. Usually to escape taxes like that, you'd have to do something drastic, like renounce your citizenship and move halfway across the world. Puerto Rico gives you a way to keep your life, your network, your passport, and still slash your tax bill legally. But here's the catch, and it's important. You actually have to live there. This isn't some weekend getaway where you pop in and out and call it home. Puerto Rico has residency requirements. You've got to spend at least 183 days a year on the island. You need to establish your tax home there, and you've got to prove that your personal life, your finances, your business connections are stronger to Puerto Rico than anywhere else. For some people, that's a deal breaker. They want the tax benefits without making the lifestyle change. But for me, honestly, it wasn't a sacrifice. I love the fact that the rules pushed me to really embrace life there. I wasn't just dipping in for the perks. I was part of the community, part of the culture, and that made the whole thing feel sustainable. And the best part is, this isn't a decision for life. Even if you move there for 1 to 5 years, the savings can make a huge difference. And then you can simply just pack up and go home. Now, all of this sounds incredible. The lifestyle, the tax breaks, the community. But let's get real for a minute. Who is Puerto Rico actually for? If you're someone who's running a location-flexible business, if you've got investments, or if you're just tired of handing over 30–40% of your income to taxes every year, Puerto Rico might make a lot of sense. But you've got to weigh it against the reality of living there. Because here's the thing, Puerto Rico isn't just some tax shelter where you hide out. It's a real place with a real culture, and it requires commitment. The government isn't handing out these benefits for free. They want you to become part of the island, spend money there, contribute to the economy, and actually live your life there. And honestly, that's the part that surprised me the most. When I first landed, I thought it would just be about numbers on a tax return. But pretty quickly, it became about the people I was meeting, the lifestyle I was living, and how connected I felt. Imagine this, waking up to warm weather year-round, going for a run along the beach before work, co-working with other entrepreneurs in San Juan, then finishing your day with dinner outside where you don't need a jacket. Ever. That became my normal. Now, a question I get a lot. What if you're not American? Can you just move to Puerto Rico and get the same benefits? The answer is, it depends. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. So if you're already an American citizen, the process is simple. You don't need a visa. You don't need to apply for residency in the traditional immigration sense. You just move there and establish bona fide residency. But if you're not American, then you're really looking at U.S. immigration rules. In most cases, you'd need a valid U.S. visa to live and work in Puerto Rico, the same as if you wanted to live in Miami or New York. That might be an investor visa, an employment visa, or another pathway. Puerto Rico doesn't issue its own independent visas. So the big advantage really is for people who already hold U.S. citizenship, because the barriers to entry are so much lower. And that's what makes it rare. There aren't many places in the world where you can legally reduce your tax bill this much, while still staying inside the U.S. system, with U.S. protections, and without uprooting your entire life to another continent. Puerto Rico is in this very unusual sweet spot, part of the U.S., but with its own tax code. So is it for everyone? No. If you don't want to actually live there, or if you're not willing to integrate into the culture, it's probably not the right fit. But if you are open to it and you can see yourself building a life in a place that feels like a mix of Miami energy and Caribbean lifestyle, then it's one of the smartest moves you can make.